make it crystal clear. No secrets at night, I wanna dive in all your feelings. Did you find everything I need?
Hello, Slothutations. Sloth here with a hello there. Konnichiwa to you too. And I got a video on our newest, one of our two new, not you, Aqua Bloom Olivine. He's one of our two latest SSRs. And if we look at him, he is a water, strong against fire, weak against wood. You know Olivine's weak against wood. Have you seen some of his H scenes? He is so weak against wood. And you know why he's water type? Because he just gets wet. Character that's skilled at buffing teammates. Yeah, that's how we're calling it now, huh? Buffing teammates. Sure. Anyways, so if we look at his skill set, okay, it actually kind of makes sense to look at SR Olivine before we look at the SSR version. Womp womp. So we're gonna go ahead and bump out right there. Go here. I don't have SR Olivine, but I have the R version, and they're the same character essentially in terms of design. But of course, I'm not gonna have any of these unlocked. I'm not gonna have the level 3. People are gonna want to look at the level 3. So I'm changing my mind on the fly. We're gonna go ahead and look here. Okay, so for those of you who don't know how the SR, R, or N versions of Olivine work, essentially 30% of his attack stat he gifts as extra attack to the rest of the team that turn. He has other passives that increase the attack for the party. They're passives up to 23% total. Okay. And then his ultimate on cooldown 4, he gives 102% of his attack stat at level 3. That turn that you activate it, and then the following turn. Since it's a 2-turn buff, what ends up happening is that on the turn 4, you use it, 102% buff. Turn 5, the 102% buff is still active. Then you use his basic attack if you don't guard, and you have a total 132% attack buff of his stat, the attack stat to the party. Okay. In addition to the 23% attack buff that he's giving that scales off the party allies' attack stat. So that's the most attack buff that you can get from an SR or lower rarity Olivine is on that turn 5, you get 132% total attack added to your party members. And attack increases your DPS and also increases your healing, since healers in this game, they heal based on their attack stat, right? You may have seen previous videos of sustain builds that use Olivine in the party, and the healing is just gross. And I don't use the healing, I wait, right? I use it the turn before I heal with my ult. So I will use this buff, and then next turn I will basic heal with him, or sorry, basic buff with him, so that it stacks with his ultimate buff. And then I will ult heal with my healer, and then I get a ridiculous amount of healing. And you can ult damage with the party members there on that turn 2, on the turn 5, and you get the most damage on your ultimates, right? Remember, ultimates in this game, they scale off a multiplier. So if I chose like, if I chose Garu, right? His ultimate does 203% of attack to the enemies in this game, right? So if I had my Olivine gift like 400 attack, right? And In addition to that, I gift him another 100 because I was stacking those two buffs. That's a total of 500 attack, right? Then I use the ultimate. Well, that 500 is going to be doubled, right? So that's 1,000 attack. That, right? Now, if I only did the ultimate buff, I'd only be giving 400, and I've doubled that, and that gives me 800. So, and that's just an example. So you can see why you get a bit of a bigger buff, a bigger attack, when you kind of stack it that way. And that's how he's used, or can be used. Now, if we're looking at our friend here, how's his design differently? Well, he's an SSR. SSR is going to have more HP, more attack. That's just how that's going to work. Even though the multipliers are a little less, right? It's going to work out in your favor over in the long term because the attack stat's going to balance that out. And the base attack stat is going to scale off of the potential and the intimacy. So it will do more flat attack gifting to your party just because he's an SSR. Now, you'll notice that his ultimate, it only does it the one time, and it's not 103%, it's 152%, right? So you don't have to do that same sort of tactic where you have to wait till turn 5 to stack it, okay? It's not possible to stack this buff, so the max amount is 152 instead of 133, okay? So SR Olivine still capable of giving a good amount of DPS burst if you kind of wait till turn 5, right? But that does mean you have to wait for that to occur. In addition to that, we have at 3-star, 12% ultimate skill damage, and then at 5-star, 18% ultimate skill damage to Striker, Guardian, Saboteur classes. I mean, healers are not gonna do damage with their healing. At least we haven't seen any do that yet, so that doesn't really matter. And Olivine, any buffering classes haven't done any sort of ultimate damage really either. So that's not really restricting us too much. And then his potential 6 passive is plus 5% for a total of 35% ultimate skill damage increase. Now, when you take a look at that, that means that not only are you going to gift 152% of his attack at level 3, mind you. If you have him at a higher star level, you're also not scaling those ultimate skills with more multiplier. The ultimate skills already are a multiplier, right? So you take the attack stat, you're gonna add this gifted amount of attack stat, right? So if 152 of like this amount right here is like what, 2,500? So, and on his ult, he's gonna gift 2,500, right? Assuming you reached him level 60 and you got him at these stats, right? And to every single person in your team. That means your healer, when they heal, they're gonna heal with their base attack stat is gonna add an additional attack stat of 2,500, and then it's gonna calculate their heal with that total amount using the multiplier that's given in their ultimate skill. So that Garu, right? That 2,500 attack that he's gonna get here is gonna turn into about 5,000, right? He's gonna do 5,000 extra damage to every single enemy. That's a lot, right? And then these ultimate skill damage increases are going to scale that 5,000, that much damage even more by 35%. 35% of 5,000, mental math. 10% of 5,000 is 500. 30% is times 3, that's 1,500-ish. So he's gonna do a little bit more than 6,500 damage, okay? But we went from 5,000 damage to each enemy to 6,500 damage to each enemy. That is a significant increase. right? And that's just from Olivine and one other unit, okay? And there's been some videos going over these units. Everyone has their own style. Zerophos does really good videos going over the numbers and calculations for turn rotation. And in the video, he says, here's two cases. Case one with Edmund, if you're just gonna just normally just buff with the basic attack stat buff, what is it gonna look like in the Edmund ults, right? During that process. He compared the two, SSR Olivine and SR Olivine. Just looking at multipliers and such, it wasn't too much of a damage increase. Now again, this is not taking into account potentials or intimacy scaling, and also did not factor in that if you had this character and he ults, you're not gonna ult on turn 4, or you're not gonna have Edmund ult on turn 3, you're gonna have Edmund ult on turn 4. You're gonna wait so that you align the ults so that Edmund gets the most damage possible, right? That's how to best use this new Olivine, is to just sync everyone's ults at the same time he ults, and then you just have a burst turn of a bunch of ultimate damage and healing. And then he did Quincy as another example. Quincy, like go here. Should probably put these units up, right? So Edmund, right? He gets 125% attack. That attack will increase because of the increased attack stat, right? And the ultimate skill damage increase. The latest update changed this. So his basic attack, that follow-up attack on his basic attack, used to be scaled off of this 70%. It doesn't do that anymore. It's been given the type ultimate skill damage. So that follow-up attack is also ultimate skill damage. So even though he's a turn 3 cooldown, if you wait till turn 4 and then use this ult and the new SSR Aqua Bloom Olivine ult, that 143% will scale off of the new attack stat. In addition, we'll get the 35% ultimate skill damage increase buff to it. Okay, so all that will work for it for all those 3 turns. Okay, so that's new and different about Edmund. And then he gave Quincy as an example, right? This is really apparent where when you buff someone's attack and give him a multiplier to ultimate skill damage, of course, the strongest ultimate skill nuker for 1 turn in the game is going to very apparently do way more damage. Way more. All right, so, yeah, that gifted attack, if I gifted this Quincy 2,500 attack, then it scaled 6.57 times. He's gonna do like what, 18,000 attack or something? Like if we just scale the 2,500, right? 2,500 times 6, right? 0.5 is a lot of damage, right? But then you scale it off that 35% ultimate skill, and that's going to turn to an even bigger number. And that was just the gifted amount of attack. We're not even talking about this other portion of the attack, right? It's going to be an insane amount of damage, right? So now let's go ahead and take a look to see, well, how usable is he? Because if you have to, for Edmund, you had to wait a turn to sync the ults, right? And Quincy, he's turn 6, so you'd have to wait 2 turns. And sometimes you might be in a fight and you may not be able to wait to do that. So let's take a look. 4 turn cooldown. That matches. 3 turn cooldown. Best if you wait 1 turn, then sync. the healer version of him, 4-turn cooldown. That sinks. We went over Quincy, 6-turn cooldown. That does not sink. You'd have to wait 2 turns. Kuya, 4-turn cooldown. Garu, 4-turn cooldown. Blade, 3-turn cooldown. Better if you wait a turn to sync. We have White Day Yakumo. Okay. We have 3-turn cooldown. Now target takes 27% ultimate skill damage for 2 turns. So you have 2 options here. So one way is to wait until cooldown 4 uses ultimate on the same turn that your Aqua Bloom is going to ultimate, so that White Day Yakumo does more damage when he ults. Then he applies the ultimate skill damage increase to that target, and if that target's still alive, you're going to have so much ultimate damage coming out in burst from your team. Another way to use them is you can have him activate a skill turn 3, and because that ultimate skill damage increase lasts for 2 turns, then you can have the rest of everyone on your team, including your Aqua Bloom, ult on turn 4. It's up to you on how you want to go about that, but that is one way you can do it. Let's see, White Day Edmund, 3-turn cooldown. Best if you wait a turn. Again, that dot damage is going to scale off of ultimate skill damage. So you're going to have a stronger dot damage in addition to the stronger upfront damage based on that. Okay, so moving on. Well, you can't have the Aqua Bloom on 2 Aqua Blooms on the same team, at least not yet anyway. And then, of course, we have our Buckeye Miracle, Quincy, and he is also cooldown 4. So, with a few exceptions, Aqua Bloom Olivine is going to sync with the ultimate skills of your party. That makes sense. That's what he does. He, realistically, you're going to have all your party members use their ults all on that round, right? And that's essentially going to be the difference between the 2 units. Is it's going to be a lot easier to have ultimate skill burst damage come out from your party on this unit than on SR Olivine. SR Olivine, you can get like a 102% burst on turn 4, right? Which is not the same as this 152% burst, right? You can get capable of 132% burst, but that's going to be if you wait to cool down 5, and you may not want to. As you can see, there are some characters in this game that have cooldown 3, so that means they would have to wait 2 turns. Your cooldown 4 units would have to wait 1 turn. It may not be ideal or even feasible depending on the stages. Like if you had a level cap stage, SR Olivine, it may not be feasible for you to wait that long for all your characters to ult on turn 5. Whereas SSR Aqua here, turn 4 is pretty much where most of the characters in this game get their ultimate skills, and so aligning that's not going to be much of an issue. Okay, so very good unit overall. If you're looking for a character that is going to help you with burst ultimate skill damage at a little bit of the expense of just overall giving you a damage increase, right? Because when it's not an ultimate skill damage turn, you're not going to benefit from that 35% ultimate skill damage. Whereas an SR version is going to be able to give you a 23% attack buff, right? And that's going to also apply when he does this. So if I were to say, is this unit so unique that you have to pull him because there's only one kind of type of him. Not really. If you don't get this unit, that's okay. He's good. He's really good at that one thing he does. But in terms of the general role of support, he gives not too much more overall attack stat to your party than the SR version. Okay? So that is my personal overview and analysis on the SSR Aqua Bloom Olivine support. And yeah, so hopefully you're going through the zest. If a sloth can be zesty, so can you.